Hi folks, I'm in the car at the dog park. I'm meeting a client here today and I'm early, and I thought it was a good chance to talk to you about what I want to do today with my client. So this is for young dogs, for anyone who has adopted a young dog that has missed its critical socialization window. So the critical socialization window, it's called the critical window because it's critical. It's a developmental process that's meant to happen at a certain time for it to work. And it's a really short period of time. It's like from 8 weeks of age to 20 at the absolute latest, depending on the breed of dog. Now, your average dog is meant to have had at least 150 positive dog experiences by the time its critical window expires. And a lot of people aren't fortunate enough to get their puppies at that very early stage where it's up to them to socialize and do all the right things. So the dog that I'm meeting here today, and it's a really typical kind of situation, it's a young dog, she's one, adopted by a lovely couple, and she did not get adequate socialization during a critical window. So she's very reactive. Now look, when you're socializing a puppy at the right time, it all just happens very easily. But when you've got a dog that's missed its critical window, it's missed out on a massive, massive developmental milestone in its life. So it's suddenly not just a matter of socializing it, once a week. You kind of you're making up for lost time because you've got a dog now that is harder than it would have been if you had got it and socialized it at the right age. And it's usually not the owner's fault and the dog's fault. So you're working with what you've got. And yeah, the dog I'm meeting here today, look, she's a lovely dog in every other way. She's good with dogs most of the time. But when you've missed your window, what it means, the reason why they want you to have such a big number of dogs in that critical window is because it gives the dog a lot of, information to draw on. It can learn that most dogs are nice, some are grumpy, don't go near that old one, that one needs to be avoided. So it's about providing enough social experiences, and positive as you can make them, as you can, whilst the puppy is still young. You don't get the socialization window back, yet I find that if a dog is a child still, their brain is still developing, and it is worth every single go. And I get great results. So yeah, look, missing the critical window is detrimental. Often it can't be helped. So we're working with what we've got, which is usually now a larger reactive dog. And when you've got a reactive dog, it can be really, really tempting to avoid the social situations because they're hard. But the thing is, if you're avoiding them, your dog's going to mature without the socialization, without adequate socialization. And once a dog matures, then it's even harder again. When we're older, we're set in our ways. We're less open to things in the world. Our brain is not still developing in the same way that it was when we're a child. So we're not as malleable, I guess you could say. My advice, give it every go. Give it every go you can for the first 2 years of your dog's life. Because yeah, you've missed the critical window, that's terrible, but you've still got a young and developing mind. The dog that I am meeting here today, she's 1 year old, so she's got a good another 12 months of really being able to work with her. I find once a dog hits 3, 4, 5, it can be a different story. They are less easy to socialize. Now they're adults, they're an adult with social issues. So it can be really tempting to avoid the situations. But if your dog is still young, I really encourage you not to do that. If you do that, if you go, look, it's just too hard and I'm just going to steer away from everything, what you're going to do is really sort of set that in stone for yourself. And look, there are plenty of dogs out there in the world that did not get the adequate socialization. It's a bit beyond them now. It's so stressful for them to be out in the world socially, and you know, or the owners can't quite trust the dogs. So you've got a dog that you can't kind of just take everywhere and trust and all of that kind of thing. So whilst there's many dogs living that way, it means their life and social outings and things are, dogs just like to be with us. So it's really nice if they can be. But for that to happen, we need to make sure they're socialised with things. So I know it's tough to not run away from the socialising a reactive dog. It's hard. But if you've still got a young dog, I encourage you to stick with it and do the best that you can. Everything you can until your dog is 2 years of age. Because once you make that decision, okay, it's too hard, let's not put ourselves or her in that situation. You are setting that in stone. You're setting the dog that kind of, that will probably mature that way and will be that way. So yeah, I really wanted to come here today because I'm meeting, I've actually taken this dog here before, but I've not brought her owner here before. And because she has such a great time at this park, I want to show the owners that, and I want the owners to get their confidence up with her, and I want her to get her confidence up too. So when I'm taking a reactive bigger dog that I'm not quite to a park, I do a few things. One, I use a long lead. The reason why I use a long lead is I want my dog to be able to socialise, and I want it to have kind of the illusion of that independence from me. Because look, short leads are short and they do change the dynamic. But then I want that long lead on there so that if something does happen, I can just reel her right back in, and it's not just a matter of it doesn't get to that a stage where a dog's pinned down or they're bitten or anything like that. The other reason why I like to use a long lead, reactive dogs will automatically stand over another dog when they meet them. They've got antisocial, they don't have the social skills. So they feel a bit anxious when that happens to them. So suddenly they're over that dog. That freaks out the dog underneath. It freaks out the owner of the dog underneath. And it causes the dog underneath to react, therefore the dog on top to react. So I like to give them enough lead to say hello and touch noses, but never close enough to stand over another dog. So I'm right in there. And that's why I want to show the owner that today. I'm right in there sort of policing it. It needs to be a really positive time for the dog. So there's lots of praise and there's lots of encouragement and good job after socializing and all of that. Because what I want this dog to do is have a good time here. Want to come here again, continue to have a good time here, and for the owners to be able to bring the dog here and get their confidence up as well. So I don't just walk straight into the park either. I've got my long lead, and I mean, if you can see this, there's a fence there. I will always take my dog up to that fence first and say hello to all the other dogs through that fence. Because I want to see how she's reacting today. I want to see how they're reacting today, or if there's any dogs she could have a problem with before I go in. And the other thing I do, I use my voice a lot. I go on about it all the time, and it's really difficult to explain what I'm doing. I'm setting the tone for a calm, nice time. So I'm talking in a relaxed, slow voice. I'm giving lots of encouragement to the dog. I'm striking up conversations with owners around, because your dog relaxes when it sees that you're relaxing and just having a conversation with someone. You know, it can be scary taking your active dog to the park. So if you're in there freaking out and maybe telling them off, or even just try and be calm, try and show your dog the tone of what's going on here and what we want it to be like. And if your reactive dog does react in a way that's not appropriate, I will immediately just I'll grab them and I'll take them off. I'll take them away from the fun. This is actually a little bit of negative reinforcement, which it's not what recommended, but I just find that sometimes that consequence of, and it only has to be quick, you know, they're playing and then they, you know, get to whatever. It's like, come on, and off they go. And then I'll bring her back again. And whilst the play and the situation is nice, I let it going. And if it's not, I'm taking them straight out of it again. So that's a little bit of a consequence. It's taking them away from what they want. And I do not let a dog off a lead unless I'm sure about it. And it's a tricky one, because a lot of people say, oh, my dog's different on a lead, and yeah, it is. But it still doesn't mean that you can take the risk. And if you need to have your dog on a long lead for as long as it takes, that's fine. Not every dog needs off lead. It's lovely if they can. They have a great time doing it. It helps their socialization. But we want the dogs to be having a good time too. And that's why it can be harder to get adult dogs to respond in the same way. So, what else did I want to say? I think that's it. They should be here soon anyway, and I might do a little bit of a video and so that I can let the owners know, or the other owner know, how she went. Okie dokie guys, bye.